Hey everybody, good to see you. So this is the first one that we're going to do of our weekly.
First thing you want to do, Brian, is ask if everybody can hear you.
Yep. Thank you much. Everybody can hear me? Give me a 1 if you can hear me okay, please. Hear and see you. Yes. Howdy, good morning. Denmark. Jasper, good to see you. Loud and clear, San Francisco. Okay. Terrific. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. And you can see my screen. Does my screen look fuzzy to you people? Let me know real quick. Is it clear? Not fuzzy.
Now, the only thing you could try to do is make it a little bit bigger. Other than that, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what everybody's seeing and what I see, to tell you the truth.
Well, we see your entire screen. It's just that your print is a little bit smaller than what you might be seeing. That's all. All we have to do is hit view full screen in the top right-hand corner of our webinar. It will make it a little bit bigger. So it's all yours, bud. Go ahead.
Well, okay. Because the issue is, you guys can figure out, I'm learning this as we go here. Welcome to the show. I see 2 copies of my string, Patrick. And if I get rid of one, can you guys still see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So now I can see my screen, and actually I can see the questions and answers here pretty good too. I'm going to kind of slide that out of the way until I
I'll deal
ask.
with the questions and answers for you. You just go through what you need.
Okay. I wanted to do basically a quick recap today, everybody, of the changes that have happened in Traffic Factory since the last webinar that we had. And what you're looking at here is you're looking at the current beta, and we'll get to that in a minute. I just want to go back over here real quick and go over this change that we made. See if we get this up here. Make it bigger so you guys can see this one better too.
Is that better?
Yeah, everybody, is that better? Can you see that a little better now? We can't do much for the size of the text and stuff, but yeah, we've got our regular old WordCampaign here, and this is the first production update that we did since the original release, and there's a couple of changes in here that I wanted to point out. One that I am enamored of, to tell you the truth, and that is, it used to be that if you use the advanced redirects, you had to redirect all 4 different categories. You couldn't pick and choose which ones you wanted to redirect. And you could use different URLs in each one of these. But I had a change made so that we don't have to use all 4 of them. And the reason for that is, if I only want to redirect, say, my post pages and my index page, I can leave these 2 blank, and they would, if somebody was to land on them, they wouldn't redirect. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, I might want to do that if my category pages were actually part of a real blog, and my tag pages were part of a real blog, and I wasn't just driving traffic, as much traffic as I could. If you're doing an affiliate offer and you're doing Traffic Factory just to redirect traffic the way that we originally were using it 2 years ago, then you would redirect everything. You wouldn't even need the advanced side here. But if you were to build a real blog, if you were to build a real blog, or you wanted to use the S3 pages, for example, for a PBN, then you may not want to do redirects on some of the pages. Or maybe you would want to redirect all of your post pages, the content pages that come from the content that you specify in this piece of the HTML editor. I think everyone's aware that we have multiple entry points to our HTML editor now. We'll go over that some more in the Q&A if somebody wants to. But as you can see here now, I've got null redirects and one live redirect. And we go back over here, we see I put it on the posts. So perhaps you want to redirect your post traffic back to your index page or somewhere else. Anyway, the flexibility is there depending on what you're building for, and you can also, as I said, you can redirect different categories to different places. That's that, and I just want to see if I have one additional thing in there. I don't think there's no. Okay, so that was the primary change that I put into this particular release. So we're going to switch back over to a different VPS and a different project here. Because this project, where are you up there so far? That's okay. This project is using the latest beta. And there are a couple of things that I want to go over that are in this beta that you don't, some of you have, but the rest of you do not. And that is that we've added some new markup to the schema area, okay? And it's called Dublin Core. And I don't know if everybody or anybody of you are familiar with Dublin Core, but it's a schema standard that was developed quite a long time before the new schema got popular, at least. So it's not associated with these other different schema types, like for a local business, a person, things of that nature. It's more of a generic schema, okay? But it gives us some really tremendous opportunities. And one of them is that Bing absolutely loves this thing. And the reason being is that it was developed by Microsoft, primarily for Bing and Yahoo, to provide some ways to do structured content for their robots, their indexers. So I've had this, and I think other people have probably used this, although I don't think very many have on WordPress blogs. And it generates a little bit different than what we've got here. We've followed the current standard here, maybe a little more than the plugin does, but it allows you to add in links for the identifiers and source of the data. Contributor is basically, you can use spin tags. I'm using, in this case, a different set of keywords. And here for the title, I'm using keyword because keyword is what I've used for my title for the page. So the schema that's generated is going to match the page. And this is where we are. The creator, this is going to match the title of my page in the way that I'm doing it. Here's the title. And if you look down here, the publisher is also the title. And my contributor, I've used some different keywords in here for contributor that just relate to the keyword that is the title. And this is in the subject. And Dublin Core schema best practices are up to 20 keywords. So go with what you like there. If you want to add them, by all means. If not, it's up to you. Definitely want to put your keyword in there, at least one. Date, self-explanatory. Type, text and format, internet browser. I pulled this information and the identifier and source information both from some schema this is schema here that's generated by as meta for Dublin Core plugin for WordPress. And as you can see, the source and identifier, in this case, it's just picked up the URL for the site that I was, that this is running on, that particular plugin is running on. This gets interesting now down here in these next couple of areas. Here, what I've done is I have taken the embed for my video iframe. I have to get into HTML here real quick so you can see this. But in this project, this Words project, I've spun iframes, as you can see here. And I'm using the YouTube videos text link randomized to grab the video that I'm embedding in these pages. So what I've done here is, in the markup, I have simply changed this portion, the first part of the URL, to a view URL, and then I'm randomly selecting a video from that list, just as I do in the pages. The spin is different from the spin in the content, other than the short codes, okay? So what I mean by that is this will match the video that is on this page that I'm referring to with this title, okay? Now, this is where it gets even more interesting, is in the coverage. And I want to address the people that are doing local campaigns. What I mean by that, you're using your geolocation codes of one sort or another, whether you're using the ones that were supplied, or whether you're using lat longs or map embeds or whatever. You can use a shortcode here, like we do in some other projects, where we just put in city.txt, if I can spell it. I'm a terrible typist. I hope everybody knows that. City, state, and zip, for example, you could add in here, and it would populate the coverage with that, with those shortcodes. So like Beverly Hills 90210, sort of thing. Copyright, I use the copyright as it is on the page, which is basically, this would be the title again, okay, with just a copyright statement. If you use additional information on your copyright, such as worldwide or all rights reserved or whatever, I would highly suggest that you make this identical to that copyright wherever possible. Now, as far as using this, we're going to run a project here in just 1 second so you can see what this all looks like. I need to take these shortcodes out though, or that'll break it. Okay. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Continuity, I guess, is the one thing that I would stick with or go back to with your copyrights.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about what you're talking about is that we, on the image side of things, are using and playing with the Dublin Core metadata fields as well. And double checking how, when we're optimizing images, how some of that data is actually being seen, you know, through the Dublin Core environment as another set of eyes. So it's kind of interesting as well. And the one thing that we do on a copyright is we always make all of our copyrights from the image perspective public domain, but that's a little bit different than what you're doing here.
Yeah,
because we want our images shared, right? So we do it a little bit different.
Yeah, of course. You can also add Creative Commons or, you know, worldwide, you know, reuse with attribution, or you could add pretty much whatever you want down here. I just certainly recommend that you keep it consistent with what's going to show on your pages. So let's go ahead and deploy one of these so we can show you. Not going to make this any bigger. Everybody knows how exciting this is. So we'll go to one of our content pages, and we'll take a look at the source so we can see this. I can probably make, yeah, I know I can make this bigger. So you can see that this is a generated JSON compatible schema. I've tested everything I could possibly do to this stuff with the Google schema tester. Comes back 100% every time, just so you know. Now, one of the things that you see here that I've done is I am showing you how you would add the actual URLs of the project that you're building, okay? Because you have to deduce what you're going to output in order to have these fields work. Like using your bucket name in your setup. Let's go back over, oops, we need to go back all the way to Traffic Factory real quick. Here and here, okay, is where you specify those two ugly looking things. Okay, we've already got one. For your URLs. This is completely up to you how you want to do it, but this is how you would do it. Your region name is your US-East-2 or whatever your region name is. You can pick those up from the list that we originally put out. I will include a link to it again in the training doc, just to make sure that you have it. If you don't already have it, or you can't refer back to it, another build that you've done where you can get the region name that you're going to target, and then your bucket name. So you had the only requirement here is that you define your bucket here. Okay, in this situation, you're going to be defining your bucket. Oh, come on, Traffic Factory. Okay, you're going to define your bucket name here. So you're going to just want to copy it and have it handy when you get to your deploy, so you can just paste it in to the bucket name that way. And I include the index HTML on one of them, and don't include the index name on the second one. And as you can see, we've resolved our video ID here just fine. So do we have any questions at this point?
Yeah. Alex is asking whether or not you can create a special video for how to best spin the embed codes, that you're using for everything. So I'm sure you can make a quick little 5 or 7 minute video concerning that. The next thing is
okay. Let's clarify. Is he talking about spinning the iframes for the videos?
Embed codes, whatever. He didn't specify, but iframes or embeds, spinning all iframes is what he's saying.
Oh, okay, sure. Actually, we can just decompose that one that we've got, and yes, I'll do that in a quick video for sure.
And another interesting question, and I'd like to get maybe 2 different viewpoints if Henrik is here as well as you, but what is the point of schema? I've never used it and don't really know anything about it.
Schema is a structured content that meets standards as defined by some standards board. I imagine the World Wide Web, and well, in this case, we're looking at a standard that was developed by Microsoft, and it was developed specifically for the Bing search engine when they were introducing the search engine. The purpose of it is to give the search engines or robots or anybody that wants to scrape your site structured tags that say, this is the title I am the creator. This is the subject of this resource, and then a short description of the resource. I'm the publisher, which may not be the same person as the creator. This is a contributor. And in this case, remember I just stuck another different keyword in here, just because it's Wartrol FlexGen skin stuff, same as Wart stuff. Okay, that's all I'm doing with this, but it's intended to be the ability to define everybody involved in producing the document that this particular set of structured markup is referring to. So we tell it, the date, the type text, in this case, internet browser is the format, and the identifier is the source, pointing back to some reference pages. And then the relation, this was my idea to stick this video in here because the video is going to be about warts. So it's relative, this is relative to this video, is basically what I'm saying. Coverage is to allow you to define where this information is targeted. It might be the University of Mississippi. Could be the only thing that they want to cover. And then the DC rights, this is also intended to be a URL in some cases that links out to copyrights, reservations, and things of that nature. So schema, if you look at the other types of schema that are available in Traffic Factory and available, in general through this particular standard, is used to simply to define the document that the web crawler or the browser in some cases is going to be displaying. So we all say that, well, it should be clear what my website is about because I wrote the website. It's about how to plant daisies. Okay, so if your website is in fact something about how to plant daisies, then if you tell the search engines via schema that your website is about daisies, then it will be clear that every reference to the daisies that it finds in the content is relative to the purpose of this particular web page. Does that answer the question?
It does specifically for that, and there are many different types of schema. Henrik, he works with me on the GMB project, and we do schema within the GMB. So, if Henrik's there, maybe he could add a little bit more about some of the other variations of schema outside of Traffic Factory, because it really kind of does, Brian, as you said, it's a pointer, it's an identifier. So Henrik, are you there? Can you give a little description about schema and like local and GMBs as helping to identify more about what schema is?
Well, as Brian said, schema is a way to what you could call semantic vocabulary, which identifies the microdata in a page. So it tells the bots when it comes what it's about, and it's a question of trying to avoid what it called ambiguity, I think it's called.
Ambiguousness, so,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
ambiguity, yes, exactly.
So you are telling the bot, this is a website about this and this and that. We are a local business or we are an organization, i.e. depending on the kind of schema that you have chosen for the page. A page can have many schemas on it. So it can have a schema that is actually declaring it's a web page. It can declare that it's an organization. It can have a schema describing the videos that you have embedded or the multimedia you have embedded in there. So what you're trying to do is actually to explain to the bots, this web page is about this, and that. And you define that in schema, which is a structured form of data for the bots.
Right. So like as an example, and then we'll move on, Brian, but in the GMB, you have product schema, right? So you have schema that identifies a product. You can have schema that is the same as or same as your Facebook or whatever your relevancy is to your product and your page. And like GB says, you know, it maximizes the relevance for, you know, all of your extra Google points and really drills down to the bots. And I think Brian, you said it perfectly, and Henrik as well. You know, it's not just metadata, right? It's extremely highly, you know, attractive data that magnetizes itself to the bots, so the bots know exactly what your site is about. Does that kind of sum it up?
Yeah, and let me explain as to why
Thanks, Henrik.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Henrik. Let me explain quickly why I put this into the product. First of all, it's simple for you to incorporate it, as opposed to trying to drill down into what exact type of other schema you want to generate. Now, I certainly would encourage you to do so, whatever works best for you, but I want something that would be easy for everyone to use.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I know for a fact that Bing loves this stuff, and I'm going to give you an analogy. This has been talked about because maybe you've heard it. If you found 4 quarters, would you only pick up 3 of those quarters? I don't think anybody would say, well, no, I'd leave one for
I'd
somebody
look
else.
around to see if there was 5 or 6.
Exactly. So the reason that I'm drawing that analogy is because I think it's pretty much a consensus that between 25 and 30% of the traffic on the web that's generated by search engines is generated by Bing. Now, we focus, and we all seem to have blinders on in some cases about Google, and God only knows Google drives, you know, the vast majority, and we must not ignore Google. But if we give something to Bing that Bing likes and it indexes, we're going to get that other 25% of the traffic that we're not getting by not being there. And in addition to that, I happen to know from talking to a lot of people that are smarter than me, and they're easy to find, that Google crawls Bing continuously
Mm-hmm.
because Google doesn't want Bing to have anything it doesn't have. So if you go in both doors and you say, hey, Google, here's my Dublin content schema, and Google goes, oh, all right, cool, I'll stash that for later. And then Google finds that you're on Bing and goes, hey, wait a minute, I saw this before. I better do something with this one. So there's a back door. Okay, looks like Team LBR didn't make the webinar. Sorry about that. I forgot to put myself on Do Not Disturb. So anyway, what I'm trying to accomplish here, or what I hope to have accomplished with this, is just another backdoor into Google to get indexed by Google and get indexed by Bing on the way.
Well, not only that, Brian, you know, it does accomplish exactly what you're trying to do, and that's one of the reasons we're using it in images as well. But, you know, you just added another element that takes the actual page with the schema, just like we've done with GMB Factory and using it in different events. You know, as you progress with this, and you probably opened up a little bit of a Pandora's box, because you're going to have some people that are going to go like, well, we can schema this and we can schema that, and how do we schema this and how do we schema that? But that's okay, because you're planting seeds for smarter people than you or I to come in here and say, well, this is going to help the page and this is going to get, you know, index better or ranking better or whatever. I mean, schema is extremely important, so it's awesome. That's
schema.
Really cool. This is really cool.
Thank you, thank you for that. The other thing that what I do want to say is that the schema standard, and even as it's implemented in Traffic Factory, is so big that I personally don't know the best practices to use for every different piece that you can do. I mean, if you can do a schema for a person, doing a schema for an organization, doing a schema for a local business, doing a schema for a product, you know, I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, but you know, somebody that specializes in something like local businesses, they're probably going to be 100 times better than I am at local schema.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the people that we're going to want addressing that within the group, you know, as opposed to
just the fact that you've added it and we can expand on that, you know, as time goes on is awesome. Google has a listing of their preferences, ecom schema as an example. So we can get those preferences and list them in here for everybody. But that's awesome, man. I mean, you can't really understand how valuable adding this to the mix actually is. Can you add a box where we can add our own schema? That's interesting.
it is actually something that is definitely.
The answer is yes. It's just whether or
yeah.
not.
In fact, my mind just went down that rabbit hole. I was thinking, oh, what a great idea. Where are we going to put it? Okay, now I'm thinking, yes, we can and we will. One of the things that you'll find is that we are much more nimble than we have been in the past when it comes to doing
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
In fact,
extra content, maybe? Henrik is saying maybe an extra content.
Extra content is typically falling within the body of the document, Henrik, and not like in the head so much. But that doesn't mean
adding a complete schema tab, Brian. Well, actually, just something that Gab can do at some point. So it's
all we would need to do would be to add custom in here and add a blank page, just like we do for extra content. So I drop your schema in here, baby. And then you could literally, okay, here we go. You generate your Dublin core. You copy it, save it. You go back and you generate your product schema, okay? And you copy it and you save it, and then you go back and generate your local business schema, and you copy it and you save it, and then you go over here and you click on custom and you drop all of it in there in one shot. How's that? Everybody like that? Okay, we'll do it. I like it too.
You know, the idea of threading of schema, now that you've opened up that Pandora's box, you're probably going to wish that you hadn't, because you like to sleep a little bit, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, my keeper makes sure that I sleep, as you guys got a taste of yesterday.
I tried extra content for schema and adding to theme, but short codes not work. Yes, I tried in extra content. So anyway, going back and forth, I just want to kind of like point out that when somebody came up with the template idea, Brian, and Chris went off on a tangent and figured out how to make it work, make it work. You know, having these types of discussions is going to just take Traffic Factory to a different, you know, exponential level as we add these pieces to the pie.
Great. I'd like to hear what's in the new pie already and what's going to be in the new pie by the end of this week. Or do we have more questions? Should we do some more questions first and just leave that as a cliffhanger so everybody hangs around till I talk about it?
I don't know. Any questions at the moment, or do you guys want to move on to the next topic? Any last questions? Next.
Okay. Well, one of them you just saw, and that's the I'm sorry. That's the Dublin core. I don't want to be doing that. What I want to be doing is well, that's nice. Yeah, I didn't clean those out. So I tell you what, I'm just going to turn off the schema. because we want to look at something a little different. We've added this next release. Well, I don't care about that right now, so I'll continue. We added Azure to our automatic uploads. And we'll get you a video on this for how to set up the Azure account. But so what you're going to be able to do is upload automatically to Azure, just like we do to Amazon S3. I still have a little investigating to do about the different regions that may or may not be available with Azure. I'm not sure, but I believe what you would do is have a connection string for the region that, at Azure that you were specifying, like we do with Amazon S3, where we select, from our different endpoints or regions. So that is remains to be done. And then the next thing that we'll be doing, and that's coming in this release, is going to be Google Cloud. If any of you have used Google Cloud in Ranking Factory, I believe it's in there. I'm sorry, but it's been so long since I've used Content Factory because I've been so focused.
It's in there.
It's in there. I was sure it was. Then you'll know what needs to be done pretty much to set up your Traffic Factory with the authorizations and go to the OAuth and give Traffic Factory access, just like you do in Ranking Factory. So that's right. That's in process right now. But I got this beta between the one that the current version that you all have and this beta that we're looking at right here. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to be changing the look and feel to make it a little easier on the eyes, shall we say, a little more modern looking user interface. And we're also activating the mouse, hooray, hooray, so you can right click and copy and paste and do those things while having to use the keystrokes. I had a request a while back about being able to go into areas like the content structure and right clicking and having the window open up where you could insert short codes. Pick a file out of the out of your input folder and drop in a short code instead of having to type them in or copy and paste with the with the mouse. So that is being looked at, and Azure and cloud. The other thing I wanted to let you guys know, I don't know if anybody has actually explored this or not, but when you start and you click continue and you add a dummy uploader, for example, and you say next, and then you say, oh, and I want also to upload that to Amazon S3, and click next, and click add, okay, and then click, oh, and I also want to do it up to Azure, or I want to do it to another region of S3 if you want to, or I want to upload to Azure. You can stack these, and it will sequentially do your run. It'll do a dummy uploader, and you don't want to do that because this is gonna overload your dummy overwrite your dummy uploader anyway when these run. But it will sequentially do each of those, so you can stack these and run them.
So when you say stack, are you taking the URLs from the previous one?
No, I'm sorry.
So you're not stacking. You're just allowing.
No, I'm not stacking like Ranking Factory or Megastack or Megastacker. No.
Yet.
Not yet.
Yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
But that certainly is something that won't be difficult to implement once we get everything in, here.
But how cool is it to just hit a button and run it again and hit a button and run it again and hit a button and run it again?
Exactly.
What you're saying.
Yeah, because if you're creating your content correctly, all right, if you got a nice spun content, in all the areas where your actual content's coming out, then all you need to do is override your keywords, and your title, and the other things that you change to do your rinse and repeats. And those are done. Where do you do the in the structure? Where's the override? It's in here. Override. In this window, you can override for this particular project. For example, you can override your keyword file. So if you're going to run 4 different runs, okay, if you're going to run 4 different runs to S3, then you would create 4 different keyword text files for this rinse and repeat. Can't override the title, okay? So, and then you would use your different keywords here. So this is something that you're going to want to experiment with, because it certainly is going to you can change your source file, okay? So that would allow you to actually run warts 1, warts 2, warts 3, warts 4, prepare all 4 of those different things and run all 4 of them at the same time. So you guys have heard me talk about the fact that this software is powerful. I hope you're starting to see just how powerful it really can be. I'll leave it at that and take some more questions.
How important is the content if we are just going to use the redirect to say an affiliate product? In other words, how spammy can the content be for redirecting to an affiliate product, 1, or 2, how spammy can it be if you're redirecting it to your tier, whatever it is that you're going to rank or send it to?
I actually,
if it's redirect now, right?
I know, but I mean, let's get real. I mean, I don't know who asked the question.
I'm not going to tell you.
But in reality, the better your content, I don't care where you send it,
better it's going to rank anyway.
The better it's going to index and rank. I mean, the reason that we're putting all this schema stuff in here is to make it easy for the search engines to understand what they're looking at. So if you're going to put up spammy content, don't expect good results. I don't care whether you're using it for a tier 2, 3, 4 link to push juice, or if you're using it for a traffic factory campaign to run directly to an offer. I run a lot of traffic factory campaigns direct to offers. In fact, this is a good place to show you that, to go over that image that I dropped in the group this morning. Can everybody see this? See what that is?
Christmas letters from Santa.
And that AU, what would that mean? Australia. Okay. Who would like to guess? Let's take some guesses. The winner gets, I don't know what, I'll think of something later. How old do you think this campaign is?
Anybody? I know.
Oh, you don't count. You can't
Okay.
you can't play this time, Patrick. Just
okay.
Anybody want to guess?
48 hours. Nope. 4 years. Nope. Today. Nope. 24 hours, 36 fresh, 16 minutes, 3 days. Fine, be that way. 1 hour. Nope.
2 years and 1 month.
So that kind of brings me to a question. How many of you saw Rick Porter's testimonial video? How many of you saw that? Give me a 1 if you did, or a 2 if you didn't. Okay.
Oh, and just to clarify, that's 950 I made yesterday, folks.
I know.
Okay. I don't know if I wanted to make that clear for the group.
Okay. So we're gonna repost Rick's video in here, but basically what Rick is saying and what Brian is proving is if you just go out and do this and you go out and do this, and you go out and do this, these things live forever. The more that they're out there, the more good content you put in there, whether it's to an affiliate, which this is to, or to, you know, a site or video, this lives and it lives forever. And what Rick is lamenting about, and Bryant, you know, I know that you kind of have the same thing, is that, you know, if I had only spent an hour a day running campaigns every day for 365 days, how much possible money could I be making today? Okay, if I only took the time to use the system and put stuff out there and let it live forever, how much could I be making today? And that's basically the question. Not necessarily how much you can do today to get ranked today to make money today. I mean, obviously that's what we want, right? But you get shit done, it gets done, it gets out there, and it's growing hair, and it just gets indexed. The more you get out there, the longer it's out there, the longer it's going to, it will get indexed, and you're going to start making money on it. And I think that's what you're trying to share with people right here, is that, you know, you made 90 cents or whatever it was. How much did you make?
$9.50, buddy.
Okay, $9. You know, so if you amortize that over, you know, 700 days, you made a penny and a half a day for something you did 2.5 years ago. But if you did 10,000 of those, you see where we're going with that, guys? I mean, the potential of what you can set aside for the future is pretty amazing if you think about it. Sorry, but we'll post Rick's video in the room again.
Yeah, that's worth watching, you know, like every week, just to get excited again if you need it. And I'll tell you what I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of tinkering, because I've probably got 40 or 50 different niches that I've run stuff for. And like this thing, I ran it 2.5 years ago. Now, you know, it's seasonal. I mean, it's no good, you know, from like up until now, after Christmas, right? Or from 2 weeks before Christmas, probably, until now. But
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. It's still there. It's surprised. Like I went in and looked. This is a Max Bounty campaign. Everybody jump on board. Come on down, man. You know, there's funny for everybody. Anyway, I just checking stuff, you know, as I normally do with my copy, and I'm looking at Max Bounty, and I went, oh, I got to show everybody this one.
Well, and the other thing is, what happens if that particular letter from Santa disappears in Max Bounty? What can you do?
Oh, well, since I use my custom redirects, I use PrettyLink on a WordPress installation for all my redirects. If you look at my redirects, they are, maybe you can read that a little easier. It's a domain called easyclick2.com. It's my domain. All it does is run PrettyLinks, and I put all my I put everything in there. This happens to be MG33. Means nothing. It could just as easily say best sport removal in the world, you know, whatever I want to call it.
Cool.
But this way, see, I'll tell you, this is a perfect example, quite honestly. This Schwartz project is as old, maybe a little older than the Santa's letter. Actually, the Santa's letter was a challenge between me and Stephen Hinby. We both ran it. We both made money. I'll see how soon he gets his first one. I think I won again this year. Anyway, this Schwartz traffic, this is a real campaign, by the way. I mean, I haven't been doing much with it. I use it as an example, as you can see. It's gone to 3 or 4 different offers as I look around trying to find one that converts the best.
Yep.
So, you know, there's a pro tip, man. You know, make your own redirects.
By the way, Dan Smith is the winner. He said 4 years. He's the closest to 2.5 years. So whatever you're going to give away, Dan's the man.
2 years and 1 month.
Okay.
Anybody say a year?
No.
They'd be closer. Not that I'm trying to undo Dan, but you know.
Nope, I don't see it here.
Okay, Dan was the winner.
Okay, so let's answer a couple questions here.
Sure.
Spin text titles use file extend titles.txt, new title every time. In other words, is it giving you a new title every time?
The question was a little bit jumbled for me. Can we go back to that, please?
It's because I read it exactly the way that it is. I'm trying to interpret it. Spin text titles use the file extend titles.txt. Does that make a new title every time?
Okay, is that question valid if we say kwp.text instead of titles.text?
I suspect so.
In that case, yes, it's different every time.
And if you have,
Now, let me clarify one thing. It's different every spin.
Right.
Okay. So that means if you have kwp.text in two places, and actually here we do, we've got it in meta content, we've got it in title, and we also have it in our H1 tag over here. Okay, right there. So there it is in three places. It's going to be the same on all three. And if you were to sprinkle it around in your content as well, it will be the same entry in that kwp.text file. Yes.
So Jan, did we answer your question? Is it possible to change the destination link after publishing inside all published pages? The way that Bryant just showed you, I think answers that question.
That's the only way to do it without.
Only way to do it, right?
Yeah. Without really getting into a mess of having to, change live pages and stuff.
But one of the things that you could do is you can use expired domains, go find a short domain, use Authority Checker to find out the PADA of that domain and make that domain a short link.
Didn't you do that? You did that with the shorty.
Our shorty is basically, that's how I found it, was using that process, right?
Yeah.
The info.566 or whatever it is.
And by the way, just as a little,
good idea.
So a lot of people like to say pro tip. Well, I'll put a cherry on this for you. That's what I'll do. This domain is several years old. It has links out to like everything you can imagine.
Millions of pages.
And Facebook and Twitter like crazy. And this domain, if you go check it, I think it's got a DA now of around 30. Good. And it was brand new. I just bought a new one and started doing it. I just wanted something easy for me and easy for other people to remember. Because like I'll use these in Facebook posts. And it's easy, easyclick2.com/ my free vacation, whatever. So they can, hopefully they can type it in and remember it easily to type it in.
Hey, how hard is it to get approved at Max Bounty? Is it hard or easy?
No, just be prepared to talk to somebody on the phone and make sure that they just want to make sure that, you're a live person that has sense enough to actually be able to create web pages and stuff.
So if you wanted to, let's say you had 4 different warts programs out there, can you create a split test so that your redirects goes to, wart 1, wart 2, wart 3, wart 4, so you can see which one's converting better for you?
You can do that, but not inside Traffic Factory.
Okay, so
you would have to use some kind of a URL rotator. Which if anybody wants, I got a real simple little PHP script that'll do that for you.
Nope.
You just drop that into a web page someplace and send the traffic to the rotator, and it'll rotate among different URLs. So you would change the easy click, the pretty link is what you would change to go to the rotator instead of direct to the offer.
Okay.
And there's some other good reasons to do that. I mean, you can always drop a Facebook pixel on that rotator page, and
you might want to just do a quick video and give everybody a copy of that rotator so that they can use it, and you can give them a video how to use it.
Sure enough.
Okay. I use Click Magic to rotate my links. Cheap, simple, and fast. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. From that perspective.
If you use Click Magic, you can set it up to that it'll favor the one that's winning automatically.
Okay. All right. Any other? Lots of good shares here today. Lots of good shares. Any other questions from anybody? There's also Supercharger. I'm sure you could go through pages of them. But yeah, guys, share in the Skype group which ones you use, why you like them, and if they're free or whatever, help everybody else who don't really understand, that process. And, you can make a video, Bryant, and show people how you're doing it, as a special bonus. So very cool. I am excited about the fact that we now have Azure and Google is coming. And with those three and a little bit of counsel for some other people, Gav can certainly create the stack.
The stack is going to be an interesting situation, simply because you probably have to wait for one to complete before you have the URL to build the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a programming issue, and anything can be programmed if it can be defined. Yes,
we've got 4 programs that use stackers, so you got some expertise to call on.
Oh yeah, no, it's I start thinking when I start thinking about it, I still think like an old programmer, which I need to not do when I'm talking to
young people,
real people
like me. Don't talk old shit when you got young people like me.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I'll tell you
that was a very nasty comment I just saw. That's cool. Okay, I'll remember you. That's fine. Super duper. I'm excited. What else do we got?
Question. What's the difference between the generated folder 1 and 2, and later I saw 3 and 4? Does it relate to cat and tag pages? Oh, no, I'll explain those real quick. Yeah, they are the tag pages, actually, to answer your question. Let's see, I need to get that out. Yes, these are tag pages. Okay, and what I mean by tags is that they're an internal link to a content page. In this case, this content page. Okay, and that's all that they're there for. And then here's some of the extra content that was spun in using the extra content feature. They're just there for internal linking. If you look at this, we're at an hour. Do we want to go much longer? Do you want to watch me draw pictures or anything?
No.
Probably hard to take.
No.
Watching me draw pictures. But yeah, the interlinking that's generated when you use the tags and the categories is basically gives you a 3-level tier. Get your index page, category pages, and your tag pages, and they're all interlinking. For example, this links back to the home page, and at the bottom you will have seen that it links to the category pages and links back to its own tag page.
Hey Brian, Jan actually has a really good question here. How would we, on all of these various pages, because you're doing affiliates in this particular case, or a product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can we add a buy now button to this and all pages that are created?
Okay. You're asking a question that presupposes that you're building a website that people are going to actually look at. Correct. As opposed to redirecting them.
Correct.
Right? So you would add your buy button inside the content and the extra content, just like you would for a regular website. So I need to get, where'd you go? Don't tell me I closed yet. No, I didn't close yet. So you would add your buy buttons inside the content using the HTML editor right here, Jan. And then you would add the same code to put the buy button into it. And you would need to add it either before or after the content, or sprinkle it, about in the content. Like come in here and do your href, and then your image, button image, and your close.
What about the link to the buy page?
Well, that would be here in the href.
At href, right? Okay.
So you would have to manually add them individually within the spun content, Jan, and then also you would add them. Oh, see, I don't want to leave that in there because this is a production demonstration project. You would do that as well over here in the extra content. You'd have to add your buttons in here as well to get them on all the pages. So they would be on your tag, your index page, your post or category pages, and your tag pages. They would automatically, by adding it, let's clarify just for everybody real quick. All of the HTML, all the content here in this HTML editor, it's going to be on your post pages, which is why, as you see here, I have nothing but my legal pages, frames. And in category and tag, I've added spun content to add content to those 3 pages and types of pages. The I guess that's it.
Okay.
Wanted to make sure everybody understands that where those go. So your posts pages are the ones that are generated from that. Now, the other thing I want to show you is that when you're in here, you've got the same HTML editor again, and it's just for this extra content. Okay. So by all means, use your WYSIWYG editor to do whatever you need to in there as well. So,
all right. Thanks,
like
everybody.
I said, this thing, it just never stops. It's so powerful. It's like if you can think of something you can do it here.
All righty. Thank you, Bryant. Really appreciate it. We really don't have any more questions. I noticed that the extra content did not import with the done for you warts. Is that how it is to work?
That you're right. That content was not included in that done for you when I made that zip file. I will add it to the done for you for going forward, and I will update the one on the training doc. And if anybody just wants the raw code like we're looking at here, just let me know and I'll drop it to you PM, or I can drop it in the group anytime. It's just, it's not that much code.
Okay. Yes, there's always a replay, at least under the system that we have now, unless GoTo messes us up again. But yes, there is. So did you guys find today's session helpful, worthwhile? You're glad you're part of the group? Food for thought for you guys to play with during the week and come back next week with some really cool ideas, and have chats in the Skype room, help each other out, and let's just keep the environment that we have, helping each other, and taking one step closer to becoming independent online and using the tools that we've been able to put together for you as a fact. And I like Jay's answer. Glad to be a factory member, not traffic, but a factory member. The brand is beginning to take hold. So we really appreciate all of you. I'm still going through the program, and we'll have many questions next week. And, Silas, that's awesome. That's what it's for. No easy button, but it's easier when you have people that are helping you out, and you have people like Bryant who've been seriously working with this program for 2 years plus. So you couldn't get anybody better to help teach you the ins and outs and the thought processes of ideas. Can you post a link to the Content Factory webinar? Yes, I'll put that in the Skype room in Traffic Factory for everybody. Okay. All right, guys, thanks a lot. You guys have a good weekend, and we will see you next week. But literally, when you do come in next week, it'd be nice that you have during the week tried stuff, have questions, and you can load those questions up at the beginning, so we can kind of tackle those as we go through the presentation. Have a great day, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.